You're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network of podcasts.
Supernatural. From
Brave Star.
Maybe it was a Manglore.
It's Castle Grayskull.
Tune in next week for a much better episode. For now, though, courage.
Hello and welcome to the 54th episode of ToyCast, sponsored by BigBadToyStore.com, where you can save from 20 to 90% on over 1,000 items. I am your host, TFG and Mike, and joining me is General Techno. Hello.
Hello there.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing okay.
That's good. I think we're just going to get right into it. Who are you going to be talking about tonight?
I'm going to be talking about one of the figures from the Iron Man 2 toy line, which, as of this recording, it's started to show up in its full launch. I think that there might be some more waves in the U.S. right now, but right now we've gotten the first waves in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be talking about the movie series Ironmonger figure in the 3 3/4 inch scale, which is an updated version of the Ironmonger from the first toy line. Now, the big change with this toy line of Iron Man figures was that movie 1, they used it was either a 5 or 6 inch scale, I can't remember which, but for this movie, Hasbro has done the same thing they've been doing with G.I. Joe and Star Wars and Marvel, and they've made the primary line predominantly 3 3/4 inch figures.
Right.
Overall, just looking at the first few waves, this strategy is already bearing fruit, just looking at the number of different toys that they have on the shelves already for Iron Man 2. Because you've got a whole ton of variants of Iron Man. There's a couple of War Machines out already. There's Ironmonger. There's Crimson Dynamo. They've got a whole ton of variants of the character out already, and there's even more to come. So I think just in terms of quality versus quantity, 3 3/4 inches is probably the best way to go. And of course, I won't lie in saying that I like 3 3/4 inch figures because all my Star Wars and G.I. Joe figures are also that size.
Right.
So he just fits on it well. But anyway, Ironmonger, I don't have the original, but I'm aware that apparently the version which had the opening cockpit with Jeff Bridges' character in it, apparently that Ironmonger toy was a very posable figure. It was very good. This one, like all the Iron Man 2 figures, it comes with one thing which I always deride Hasbro for when they don't include it with a toy, like with Star Wars, which is a stand. This guy, the Iron Man figures, to be fair, a figure like Ironmonger, he doesn't actually need a stand because he's not going to fall over easily at all. He's got very good leg support because he's just massive. And he's got massive feet just because of the armor design. Mm-hmm. But it's still a great move on Hasbro's part that they're including stands with all their figures. And I hope they keep this up in the future. Simply because do not like... The problem when I pose my Star Wars toys is if I bump the table, I risk them falling over. Or even in a few cases, I have some that just won't stand properly, like Darth Sidious from Clone Wars.
Right.
But anyway, Ironmonger. Another thing about the stands, too, is that they've got an unnecessary little gimmick, but a neat one, where they come with little tech spec cards, the characters. And, each one's got, a torso piece, some legs, some arms. And I believe these are supposed to be mix and match. I'm not sure, but the idea is that you can display them is that you set them up and display them in little slots on the stand itself, so that they're sitting there behind the figure. And I've just confirmed, just by taking the ones from my Crimson Dynamo, that these are indeed mix and match, so you can actually mix and match and create different custom armor designs and stuff. So I can see how this would be popular with kids here. Because then you can make your own armor designs and then draw them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, actually.
It's a neat little gimmick, yeah.
I did see, when you're talking about the cards, I did see P.O.'s review of the Ironmonger toy, and I saw the card, and they colored him blue. They colored the armor blue.
It's a mix, actually. It's a mix of blue. There's gray and there's blue. I think they probably did it just to add some more variety to the design. I'm not entirely sure on the why. But, it doesn't look that bad in person. And, the mixing and matching is pretty cool, just because you can take 3 figures and mix and match. Like, right now I've got the cards from all the Iron Man figures I have in play, and I'm just I haven't actually fiddled around with these things yet, and it's pretty neat, quite honestly. It's a very neat little feature that's completely unnecessary, but it adds to the value. But as for the figures themselves now, for Ironmonger, first of all, the sculpt, it's a really good Ironmonger sculpt. Like, it looks pretty much bang on. The paint apps, there isn't much paint apps, so to speak, on him, other than, in terms of variety or detail. Like, there's some figures like the classic Iron Man where there's a lot of rust and stuff on him, but this one is mainly painted it's got more of a shiny, semi-shiny metal finish. It looks like that's painted on top of the plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And then, he's got the glowing eye, he's got blue eyes and the blue chest, and they're done in such a way that they look like they're glowing. And as far as posability, this is where I'm going to have to make a few criticisms of Hasbro here. First, I want to say that the potential of these figures for posability, like, whoever was in charge of designing these figures did a great job from the design standpoint, and that they've got joints pretty much everywhere you could possibly want joints on these figures. Mm-hmm. Like, they've got some pretty cool hip joints, so you can pretty much get any hip pose out of them. Insofar as if they're limited by the armor or not. Some poses might be limited just by the way the armor is built, but you can get any pose that you could get out of the armor in theory. You can, they've got rotating ankles as well as a swivel on them, so you can bend the feet to up or down. You've got knees, you've got the thighs, you've got waist articulation. You've got head. In the case of Ironmonger, it's not on a ball joint. It's on or if it is, it doesn't really have much room. But that's just because of the design of the character. Mm-hmm. So you really don't have room for a ball joint on it. But yeah, he's got ball joint. He's got some ball jointed shoulders. He's got the swivel. His upper arms are on swivels that are attached to the ball joint. Then he's got elbows, and he's got he's got his wrists, which are nice because they don't just have the traditional, plug it in and rotate 360 degrees. They also have a joint on them so you can bend the hands in and out.
Yeah. Which
is really nice because it lets you do stuff like different grabbing poses or maybe even dribbling a basketball or something like that.
Why would you have Ironmonger dribbling a basketball?
I don't know. I was just trying to think of something that fits the description, and now I'm picturing an Ironmonger slam dunking. But yeah, he's got very good posability. He doesn't come with any. Some of the Iron Man 2 figures, they'll come with little energy blast accessories and stuff like that. He doesn't have any Ironmonger, but the fact still remains that when you compare him to the classic Iron Man design, he's not in scale, but he's at least a head taller.
Well, he wouldn't be in scale. Yeah. There's no. They're all 3 3/4 inch figures or whatever, but there's no way that they would have put Ironmonger in scale with Iron Man because the whole point of that, coming out of the movie and the comics and wherever else it originated from, was that Ironmonger was twice the size of Iron Man. If you watch the first movie,
right?
Tony Stark can pretty much stand on Ironmonger's neck. Yes,
but by the same token, though, that doesn't mean it's a bad figure just because of the fact that he's still a very bulky figure. If you're familiar, for people who've bought other Marvel Universe figures or Star Wars figures, it would be equivalent to, say, the Hulk's figure, which has probably twice as much, at least a third more plastic than any of the other Marvel figures. And it's just massive. This guy's a lot bulkier than Iron Man.
Well, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing that he isn't in. Yeah. I'm glad he's not in scale with Iron Man because that would be bad.
Yes, I'm just pointing out that that as far as his size goes, it actually is pretty good.
Right.
In terms of bulkiness and stuff. It feels like the character. And, it's out of scale, but it fits in well with toys in general. Right. The only real criticism I have for Hasbro here, and this is on the joints, as I mentioned, the design of this figure is great. It's very well thought out. The problem is in the execution, specifically stiff joints. the ball joints that they use at the attaching the legs and arms, they're capable of a lot of motion, so long as you get some that don't have the swivel on the ball. Like the ball, it's capable of two movements. It can rotate in the socket. They're not really socket joints. The sockets are on the outside of the body. So you can rotate the socket 360 degrees, or you can bend the arm up and down on the socket as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to describe. I don't know if you're getting my meaning or not. But
I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's.
But the problem is that the part that bends on the joint is stiff, and on my figures, on my Ironmonger, they were stuck.
Ooh.
Yeah, the way this is possible to solve. By the way, the way you solve this is by dunking the figure in boiling water for several minutes to loosen the joints, and that works really well. I've got full posability out of him now. And I'm really impressed by the range of motion that he can do. But the fact still remains that this is a flaw with Hasbro's with the Iron Man 2 figures. I don't think Ironmonger's the only one that has it. Crimson sounds like it's a widespread problem of the line. I know my Crimson Dynamo, he's got some joint restriction, but it's not that bad on it. And my Classic Iron Man, I got fortunate in it, and he didn't have any restrictions on him. But still, the fact remains that I can see this being a potential problem for the line because kids aren't exactly going to go on the internet. I might not be giving them enough credit, but I don't think a lot of kids are going to think to go on the internet, look up toy reviews and stuff, and find out, oh, you need to dunk this guy in boiling water for X minutes in order to be able to pose him as much as I want. I rather foresee broken toys coming about from people trying to force the joints.
Yeah, probably.
Although, to be fair, when I did try and when I was trying to bend one of the shoulder joints, the arm does pop off at the joint as well, so it's going to keep you from actually breaking anything, because the arm will pop off before you apply enough force to just snap it.
Right.
So then you can plug it back in, but it's still a problem.
Yeah, that would suck.
Overall, though, Iron Man 2 figures, great sculpts. They're well priced, considering, 3 3/4, you're getting some great sculpts here. There's a lot of different variety. I've heard there's a lot of good figures. I'm still looking for War Machine myself. And, as a 3 3/4 preferential guy, I have to say Ironmonger is great. And I guess I'll close it up just by pointing out that for the Doctor Who fans out there, this just occurred to me the other day that one thing you could potentially do with all of these cheap Iron Man figures is, get the Mark II and do some customizing, and boom, you've got a Cyberman. So yeah,
I'm not a Doctor Who fan, so I don't know what that is. So
I'll just grab you a pic of the Cybermen just a sec. I'll probably get the ones from the new series, because they are a different design than the original. They're slightly different design than the original. But yeah, this is a Cyberman here, so you can probably see that it would actually be really easy to customize Iron Man figures into Cybermen.
Let's see here. Yeah, you probably could, but still. Nah.
But from the perspective of for Doctor Who fans out there, if you're an aspiring kit basher and you want to build your army of 3 3/4 scale Cybermen, because the Doctor Who figures are, I think they're in the 5-inch scale, those ones. Mm-hmm. So if you want your 3 3/4 Cybermen to come in and start wanting to upgrade your various Star Wars and G.I. Joe figures, then heck, why not pick up a bunch of Iron Man Mark IIs? Those will probably end up warming shelves anyway, because that's the design he used for 2 minutes in the first movie. And it's silver anyway, and just do some head modifications, put the Cyberman symbol on the chest, and boom, instant Cyberman.
Yeah, I guess. I just don't. I get the whole point of kit bashers and all that, but why not just go out and buy yourself a damn Cyberman toy?
Because you need to go to specialty shops to find those.
Well, that's what online retail is for.
Pardon?
That's what online retail is for.
Indeed.
But
again, 3 3/4.
But you're one of those people that refuses to do online retail for the most part, aren't you?
No, not as much as I used to be, actually. I do a lot more in terms of online. I'd like to buy stuff in stores, but I'm a lot more willing to buy online than I used to be. Like, I mean, I'm probably going to order that Fans Project, the Warbot Defender, sometime this week, because we just saw those pictures of it in color, which I was kind of waiting before I bit the bullet on that, to hear about when it was going to be shipping and stuff. And that thing looks... You're not going to like it simply because of the fact that it's Springer.
Well, exactly.
It's a really good Springer.
It could be the best Springer that they ever made, and I still wouldn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm aware of that. But, I mean, it gives me high hopes, though, looking at this. I mean, I'll still have to see quality control, but that'll definitely be a factor in when I finalize my pre-orders, which I have yet to actually order for the Swindle and Blast Off sets. I mean, it gives me high hopes for those, seeing just how intricate the paint apps are. Pretty good on this. Really, the only thing that it's missing is an Autobot symbol on its chest. And that's just repro labels for you. Yeah,
you can always get repro labels, because unfortunately, Fans Project would get sued the hell out of themselves if they put...
Yes, they've been
on the stuff.
They've been fairly aloof for a Chinese company that's skirting IP law as is, in terms of the fact that they're consciously avoiding using any actual trademarks or trademark symbols. I mean, it's much more of a gray area what they're doing in terms of updated designs of Hasbro characters. That's a really gray area, I would say. And I mean, Hasbro does have a leg to stand on there, but it's something that they'd be less inclined to get involved in, given it's an $80 figure.
Well, it's also something that, I mean, granted, Hasbro is a multi-million-dollar toy company, and they're also getting their hands wet in media and fiction and all that stuff. Yes. But I mean, really, what are they going to gain other than losing some of the fandom if they go ahead and try to sue Fans Project, and then say Hasbro beats them? And then Fans Project can't do this stuff anymore. We won't get any more City Commander stuff or Shadow Commander or whatever. I mean, that's just going to piss the fans off more than anything else. And
then the fans will just go and buy Hasbro stuff when they announce the awesome new homages at the next Toy Fair or BotCon or San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, true.
So really, Hasbro's a huge company, and the fans are a small part of its business. I don't think it's really... The position, I get the impression from Hasbro in Q&As is basically quit bringing this up to us. Otherwise, we'll have to do something about it. It comes across more as in, if we don't know about it, we don't have to do anything about it. So quit telling us about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because sooner or later, once legal gets involved in this, it's out of our hands. So even if we like this, even if we as designers love this stuff, we can't actually comment on it, because of our hands are tied by legal.
Yep.
So I mean, really, I'm sure that there's a mix of love and hate at the Hasbro offices for these designs, but they can't really do anything about it. And oh well.
Yeah, oh well. So I will be talking about another Mighty Mug. This time, probably what I consider to be the worst. Out of the entire Marvel, out of all the ones that Hasbro has released under the Marvel line, which is Sabretooth. The coloring on him's okay as far as the orange and the brown on his body. I don't like the flesh tone and yellow he has on the back of his head for his hair, and then he has I guess they would be mutton chops on the problem with this thing is the mouth is all the way on the front of the figure, where normally on the front of the head you would have the eyes, nose, and then a mouth. But his mouth is open, like he's gonna eat something. His eyes are on his forehead, and his forehead is almost on the top of his skull. I don't like that at all whatsoever.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
And people are going to say, well, why did you buy him? Well, I bought him in a wave. And as we all know, there are probably certain figures that people, say you want to get a Cyclops or a Jean Grey, and BBTS only has it in stock as a wave item or whatever. Well, you buy that wave, the Wave 6 Marvel Mighty Mugs, you're going to get a Sabretooth, whether you like it or not. He doesn't register as much hate as I have for the movie Mighty Mugs, but it's just one of those things where I just don't like I just don't like the way they did the paint apps on him. The character of Sabretooth I mainly know from the 90s cartoon, the X-Men 90s cartoon.
Right.
And of course, the 2000 movie, although he wasn't that prominent in it for the majority. I mean, he had like 5 or 6 good scenes out of the entire film. But, overall, I'm glad he's part of my collection. I can actually have him, like, not that I really pose my Mighty Mugs in any way, shape, or form, but if I wanted to have the 3 Wolverines gang up on him, I can so do that. And you might be asking me why I have 3 Wolverines. They are 3 different ones. One is
by the same token, you might ask me why I've got however many I've got 3 deluxe movie Bumblebees, or 3 classics, or 3 of the Starscream decos of the classic Starscream mold. So.
Well, yeah, but those are repaints, though, aren't they?
Yes, but isn't the Wolverine stuff? Aren't those all essentially repaints / remolds?
Well, yeah. All right. Well, with the classic Wolverine, which I covered back in episode 37 of this show, that's the classic yellow and blue spandex.
Right.
And then there's the one where it's supposed to just be Logan. On his box it says his name is Logan. It's not actually Wolverine, and it's him without a costume. It's him in a cowboy hat, a wife beater, and blue jeans with a gold belt buckle with an X on it. And the other one, the SDCC exclusive one, is, I guess it's supposed to be based off the Wolverine movie, where he has detachable, retractable claws. So they're really going in for a lot of different budgetary things on a lot of these Mighty Mugs,
Right.
and a lot of the Marvel ones do not come with accessories. But they're starting to build them into some of them, like the cowboy Wolverine comes with a cowboy hat,
That's good.
But Sabretooth, he kind of sucks. I mean, as far as being I guess I'm a Mighty Mug completionist for the most part. I think the only ones I'm not going to get into right now is Indiana Jones and Star Wars. Not that I don't want them, but just because of monetary reasons, it's just not something I can start collecting. But as far as the Transformers, the G.I. Joe, and the Marvel ones, I have pretty much all of them. I think the only one, I think I only need 10 more to complete the collection for Marvel, which isn't bad.
Nice.
So yeah, the paint apps on him and where his mouth is and where just the face design just completely sucks. If my camera wasn't unplugged, I'd show you, but I was doing other stuff today, so. But it's just one of those things where it just sucks. Alright. Do we have anything else we want to bring up?
The only thing I can think of is, in terms of toy news, this is Transformers related, but the Transformers Collectors Club just announced what their theme for this year is going to be for BotCon, which is, it's going to be a G2 theme, which is what the predominant speculation had been since they gave their hint.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all with this news.
Right, and we got to see a picture of the sets, whatchamacallhim, art, where you got to see Autobot Spark, or Pyro as he was called in the European market when he first came out. We got to see a picture of him in his vehicle mode, and he's a redeco of the Universe Inferno mold, which is definitely like one of the better Voyager molds we've gotten in the last few years.
I just want to see what they're going to do with the box this year. I mean, I want to see the other figures as well, but I seriously doubt this will be a set that I really seek out.
Yeah, myself, I wasn't really all that interested in last year's set. I mean, it was like, you got Flak, you got Landshark, you got Cup was the main one that's like, okay, cool, and Scourge. But with this set, though, I look at it and it's, you've got G2 symbols, which we haven't seen for ages. Like, we haven't seen those since G2 on a toy.
Yeah.
even on the Universe Inferno, who was released on his box as representative of the Generation 2 for the 25th anniversary, in that he had a water cannon like the G2 Inferno had. But like this one, it's got the same type of garish colors that G2 was known for. If you look at pictures of him next to the original Pyro, like, it's pretty much the same. Like, they didn't really change much at all in his paint apps.
Right.
It looked very much the same, and it's pretty cool for that, actually, in that they actually went ahead and did some garish G2 decos.
Well,
and I mean,
and again, that doesn't surprise me either, because they're just basically, like you said, it's a universe mold of Universe Inferno. It doesn't surprise me that they would take the paint apps back to G2 as well.
Right. I mean, like last year, for instance, with Thunderclash, I mean, when they did him, his paint apps were somewhat different than the original Thunderclashes, because they wanted to try and make him less G2-ish in terms of just how much the how the colors looked and stuff. Like, if you look at the original versus the Wings of Honor, like the Wings of Honor, when they made more of an effort to make it all mesh more.
Right.
But like but yeah, on this guy, I mean, he's garish, and I mean, it helps a lot that I want him because he's Pyro, and he's now a Wrecker in the last stand of the Wreckers comic.
Oh, that's
where
cool.
He's like basically an Optimus Prime wannabe, which is hilarious. And he's probably going to die in an issue or two, so. Because they're going to be killing characters off, and they've said, and the writers have said, we already hate ourselves for some of the stuff we're doing to characters. But I mean, like, this set, I do want this, since we've got this figure, and it also means we're probably going to see Clench released as well at BotCon, because Clench was Pyro's rival in the European releases that they were a part of originally. Like, Pyro was the Autobot leader and Clench the Decepticon leader.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I will definitely have to be getting this set if we get an Iron Fist. If we get Iron Fist, this set is a must. Absolute must for me.
Yeah, see, it's one of those things where, after G1, I just kind of dropped off the radar when it came to toys, cartoon, whatever. I saw the rehashed G1 as G2, but I don't know. It's not, so far from what I've heard and seen, they're not characters that I would want. Now, if they would have gone back and done, some sort of G1 set, or hell, even if they did, what I would really like to see?
You know what?
No, seriously. I would like to see, this just came to me, and I can't believe I didn't think about this before. Shattered Glass Beast Wars.
Ooh, that would be good. That would be potentially good. I'd be curious what Tarantulas would be like in those Beast Wars. Although, honestly, I would see him as being the equivalent of Cliff Jumper in the original Shattered Glass, because he'd be really easy to introduce to the story in that matter, given the nature of his death. Plus, then it would make a nice dark mirror of the...
No, you would need someone like Cheetor to do that. Not as far as the dark depth, but as far as, like, if you're going to introduce him like Cliff Jumper was introduced through the time tube thing, you would have to have Cheetor do
Well, I'm
that.
thinking more in terms of the fact that it would give you a dark parallel of the original Shattered Glass, in that last time we saw stuff from the heroic Decepticon point of view, suppose that Tarantulas went through and allied with the evil Maximals, trying to take out Megatron.
Okay.
And
I see what you're saying.
And in that kind of story, what I would potentially imagine is, I could very well see Rhinox being in charge, because then we'd have essentially a Tankor personality right off the bat.
If they ever did
Rhinox having Optimus Prime's head, or Prime would be leading and Rhinox would be the puppet master behind the scenes.
If they ever did do that, you know what toy I would want that to be if they ever did do a Shattered Glass Beast Wars?
Mm-hmm.
The silver redeco from Dark Designs.
Right. Although honestly,
make a toy out of that.
I think the reason we won't see a Shattered Glass Beast Force, though, is simply because of the fact that that they're beast designs. And whereas with something like G1, for instance, where there's a bajillion cars out there that they keep remaking and updating and stuff, so it's really easy to find molds that haven't been used yet to homage characters. With Beast Wars, you're tied to very specific molds for characters, many of which are like at least 10 years old.
Well, true, but I mean, it's still a good idea.
Yes, but I mean, if you're limiting yourself, you end up limiting yourself to some extent simply because Hasbro doesn't do very many Beast figures, so you can't really use very much. You'd have to go all the way back to Beast Wars to do figures, and most of the people who are fans of Beast Wars already own those figures, which already had a few redecos. So it would be really hard to make a convention-exclusive set people would want out of those. Whereas when they did, say, Dawn of Futures Past, it was a new take on the Beast Wars characters with vehicle modes.
True. All right. So, yeah, I think that's about going to wrap up this one. I still say that's an awesome idea, though.
I don't disagree, but I just don't think it's...
Yeah, as far as the toys go, it probably wouldn't work, but you could at least create a comic, fiction for...
Yeah, you could do a timelines fiction where, the club does that theme for year and releases maybe a couple exclusives in that series.
Right. Thank you for joining us here on ToyCast. There are several ways to get in contact with us to leave feedback for the show. First is you can stop by geekcastradio.com and get all the podcasts there. You can join our forums, PredicatorEmpire.com/Nexus. You can leave us feedback in iTunes. This is the best way to help the show out. We now have a voicemail line. Call us and leave us your thoughts on each episode. Be sure to say which show you're leaving the message for and your name. The number is 502-526-5821. You can follow us on Twitter. The show name there is TFToycast. Mine is TFG and Mike. What is your Twitter?
Mine is General Techno.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of ToyCast. We wish you'll join us next time. Be sure to visit www.bigbadtoystore.com for all your Transformers toy needs and more. For now, I am TFG and Mike with
General Techno.
Saying the more words of Optimus Prime, transform and roll out, and thank you for listening. Until next time.
Hey, this is Sari, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network of podcasts.
Podcast good.
Supernatural. From
Brave Star.
Maybe it was a Manglore.
It's Castle Grayskull.